friends. This is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average babes come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A place where being yourself is the ultimate goal, where your opinion, your story, and your individual experience matters. Join me, your host B, and my guests for real and raw talks every week, laying it all out there so we can all help each other learn more, grow deeper, and evolve collectively. Now keep in mind, as a disclaimer, no one here is an expert and no one is giving any advice. This is strictly our opinions, thoughts, feelings, and for entertainment purposes only. Now with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome everyone, welcome to the Be Real Babe podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. I hope that you have a good time. And if you're a returning listener, watcher, supporter, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for coming back time and time again. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy. I am the host of the show, and today you guys are on episode 235, Being Real from Going Left to Right. Now, y'all, I know not everybody in the podcasting world and all of that. If you're new here, you might not know how political this podcast used to be and is still kind of, but over on YouTube. But today we are going into politics, but maybe not in the way that you think. We are talking today with one of my favorite TikTokers and YouTubers, Jamie. She's come on the show. She's been on the show before in episode 217, talking to me about her injury with the vaccine and what that was like during the pandemic. And today we're going to talk about our experience growing up in the political, if we were political, what that looked like and how we went from being, let's say, liberal, NDP, more left-leaning to now being more right-leaning conservative, but we will both say that we're center, leaning right, and I really just hope that those words and those titles don't deter you from this. I think it's a really beautiful conversation considering the political scale right now, especially in the United States, what has happened over the last couple weeks, and I think that this is going to be more of an uplifting and beautiful conversation than maybe you would expect politics to be. So I urge you to please stick around for the hour and 20 minutes. This is amazing conversation from both of our experiences, what we're currently seeing, and what we really hope goes on in the future, both being political commentators here in Canada. Now, guys, before we get into this amazing episode, I'm going to remind you, if you're watching on Spotify or Apple, to turn on those notifications and follow. You can also leave a review if you're so kind, leave some stars. There's some butthead that gave me a bad star, so it's kicked me out of my perfect 5-star review. So if you guys can do me a favor and head over there and do that. On Rumble, you can also like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment for engagement. That also helps me over there. And if you were looking for me this year for the podcast, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at the Be Real Babe or the Be Real Babe podcast. And if you want to be on an episode yourself, you can email me at theberealbabe@hotmail.com or reach out to me on either Instagram or TikTok. I would love to have you. I am about 5 to 6 episodes remaining to book for the entire season. So please let me know if you do want to come on the show and share your story. I would love to have you. And just to repeat, because I'm always going to promote myself here on YouTube, I do Mondays are Keeping Up with Canada, where we keep up with Canadian politics and news and what's going on there. And on Wednesdays, there's Internet Insanity, where I bring you some brain rot TikTok, Netflix crazy documentary, internet insane story, and we talk about it. And then again, as always, with the podcast on Friday. So I'm going to shut up because I really think you guys need to listen to this beautiful conversation with me and my baby Jamie. Let's go. All right, babes, it's time to get on to the show. And with me today, I have a very special returning guest. She's one of my favorite people on TikTok and YouTube. I'd like to welcome Jamie back to the show. Hey, babe, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
I'm excited to talk to you today, now that we're both probably not blubbering, crying messes as we discussed.
Yes. Amen to that.
It's been a rough week, but perfect timing, like not perfect timing, but it just fit in very much. The week activity, like events that have happened, falls into our conversation today that I wanted to talk to you about, but in politics, which I haven't talked about on the podcast for a while. So I'm really excited to have you on because we have touched on it lightly in our last episode. But before we get into that, let's do a catch up on you. So last time you were on the show, we talked about your vaccine injury, whatever, this won't go on YouTube. And so we walked through that in episode 217. How are you doing? Like, how are things since then?
I don't really remember when we recorded. I think it was right after my colonoscopy last year. I think so. Yeah. And I just want to say that I'm doing really well. So we're 4 years post-vax, and like I'm knocking on wood, praying to God, because it said if you're gonna pass away, it's going to be it's either going to be right away or within the 3 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, and I finally got a doctor, so hopefully we will get the check to see if I'm blood clotting, because like sometimes I can feel it. I would say my lungs and my they come and go. Like it depends on if I have a cold or not, but as far as like my energy and stuff, I don't want to jinx it, but I have felt more like myself in the last 4 years than I feel a little bit closer to 2020 me versus 2021 me.
Wow, that's awesome, dude. That is so crazy. Mm-hmm. Not crazy, but just because the text right after we recorded, I think it was about I want to say like 8 to 9 months ago we recorded it. And I remember just like the text messages of what you were sending me when you're going through that. I was like, this cannot be forever.
That the menstrual cycle thing is the thing that's like holding on the longest. Like, remember when I texted you, I think it was like a month ago, and I was like, a demon just came out of me. That is like the last thing that I'm, even before, like when I'm on my period, I'm still like down and out for the count. And I don't think it could necessarily mean I would be like ready to have a job or anything, but like being able to do the tasks around my house seem a little bit more easy now. I went to a My Chemical Romance concert this summer and it almost took me out. So like
baby steps.
Other than that, honestly, things are going good and I know my boundaries now. I think that honestly, the biggest thing that I've noticed is that since I got that, I feel like I've been living in a haze. In the last few months, I feel like my body has been able to step back into it and get out of the haze, if that makes any sense. Like the fog has lifted. Mm-hmm. And it honestly feels very strange because I can almost, and I lost my grandma too, so it could have had to do with grief and that situation. Totally. But like overall, I'm definitely feeling a lot better. Except for my menstrual cycles, that's still demonic. But other than that, we're good. We're doing
base, that sounds normal.
Yeah. Other than that, that's awesome. I stopped working out as much. Like after, I used to work out hardcore every single day. And now I kind of go with my menstrual cycle. So ever since starting doing that, like I don't work out. So I wouldn't say I'm back to my normal self, but I do listen to my body. I do stretches every day instead of working out because, it'll be like the beginning of my period or beginning of my menstrual cycle. And then I will do my dances and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm just doing like very non-invasive workouts and it seems to be doing really well. But yeah, I honestly know I'm saying I feel better, but it's in comparison to how I felt for the last 3-4 years has been crazy. And it feels like I just finally have clarity.
Absolutely. And like your whole point of like, it feels like your body's attached to itself, right? And it's probably because it's come down from that like massive fight or flight survival mode. And it's like, okay, we can come down. We can kind of be present. We can be within our body. So I think anybody that has any sort of illness or has gone through some sort of traumatic injury gets that. It's just like your body then finally feels like, okay, I can maybe start to feel like normalized again. And of course with your period, like hopefully that eventually, or you just go right into menopause and it just disappears maybe. Like, I don't know, I guess, is maybe that going to be the equal out? Yeah. But at least hopefully it's baby steps in the right direction. Maybe that's the final piece. Like once your body gets fully back, then the period will come. And I think that's such a good point for you to say, like, you don't have to always work out hard at the gym, especially when you're recovering from an illness or an injury, you have something. It's really about just moving your body and just trying to nourish it in any way that's possible, whether that's stretching or dancing. And for some people, man, that's lifting heavy weights and grunting like cavemen, and like all the power to them, right? But it's really what works for everyone. As long as you spend some time just connecting to your body, I think that's the most important part. And that's probably what brought you to being connection with it instead of always fighting with it, right? Because like lifting, you are stressing your body out, right? So when your body's already stressing through an illness, like that could just add on top of it. So being aware of that, especially when your period takes you the fuck out and you bleed more than most people, like it's good to be cognizant of that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So today's topic, politics, which is obviously something that I found you on TikTok for, which I'm so grateful. So I was like, oh my God, finally some woman that makes absolute sense to me. Maybe not to the certain sphere of TikTok,
Yeah.
So let's kind of start from the beginning of politics in your world. Now, me growing up personally, I don't recall too much about politics in my home. But I don't know if that's the same because we're Canadian, or if that was just my family. So do you have that kind of similar experience, or was politics like a conversation in your home that you recall?
I genuinely don't remember politics being a situation growing up for me at all. Like my mom never, I don't even remember my parents talking about politics, but for me, I will say that it started kind of affecting me because I had, and this is kind of a trigger warning, I had a stepdad who brought GUNS to our house, like to schmurder us. And he was allowed to get those GUNs right back, which I think like 3 weeks later, because he's a firefighter. So that could contribute to me being on the left, by the way, because them and their white privilege and anti pew pew, like obviously, and that's why, we'll go into it, but the exploitation of the things that happen in our life is how the left, got me on their side. But I will say, like, so politics affected me as in that situation, and then when I was kicked out when I was 16. So I was adopted at 16, and I noticed how from 16 to 18, you don't have to take care of your kids in Canada. You're not responsible for them, but they can't do anything. Like they have no rights. Well, they didn't back then. They probably do now. So anyways, all that's to say is that I kind of started paying attention in the 12th grade of high school because I started taking like psych and soc and stuff. And I was very interested in those things. And obviously politics just kind of flows within the things that I'm passionate about, which is like I went to school and graduated for child and youth worker. So yeah. Awesome. But yeah, growing up, not a lot of politics, I would say. Right. And you know what? If I do remember people talking politics, it was a small argument between my family, like on my dad's side, and then nobody would talk about it. It didn't matter. Like it wasn't like they were gonna end a relationship over it. You know what I mean? Like
100%. And that's what I kind of wanted to like paint a picture of, because that's how I grew up. Like I grew up in British Columbia on the island, predominantly liberal and NDP. Like that's unfortunately NDP has a chokehold on British Columbia, but I always grew up with that, and nothing ever affected me. And I'm not saying that it didn't, but I wasn't aware. Like that wasn't something, like you said, that people are like ending family conversations over. I mean, it was more about drama and people being catty or, family shit, not political shit, which is what we see big time of what are ending relationships now. And I'm not saying that didn't happen, but that wasn't in my worldview. That wasn't in my worldview as a child, as a teenager. Like it was nothing. 9/11. Yeah, 9/11 might have been the first thing that I was just like, oh, politics, presidents, terrorism, like, because I was in grade 9 when 9/11 happened.
I hate my stepdad, but the one thing that he taught me that I could appreciate was that he's told me, I remember him saying this: you don't talk about politics with people because it's so personal, and people have their own like personal experiences. And if you don't want to end friendships, don't talk about politics. I mean, that was kind of the, like, I remember they did, but not to the extreme of what we do now.
There's no social media, right? So no, like it was like you only knew what you knew about people politically in that time if you talked to them about it. And if the rule of thumb is that you don't talk about it to most people or people that you kind of think you're a bit different with, and you don't know. But now we know people that we don't even know's opinion on politics, which just adds so much more fuel to the fire, I think. So it's just really wanting to paint for people, like, to stop for a second and think about back in the day, you knew people for what they did, how they treated you. You didn't know about their politics and then therefore label them and then dehumanize them, which we've seen in nauseum over the last 10 years due to fucking politics. And I don't know if the Americans have that. I think we're just behind, right? So like I would imagine kids in this day and age are hearing more about politics. And I feel like maybe 10 years ago that maybe that's what America was like. They did talk about that more because they seem more involved than Canadians do in their political, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Their
movie, show. Yeah. Like they tuned into that channel a lot earlier.
American politics more than ours. Honestly, 100%. I do. I remember watching Bush. I remember like Bill Clinton. We were young when that happened. So 100%. Yeah, I actually remember American politics being much more prominent in Canada than even Canadian politics were.
Yeah, we didn't have as, and I'm sure for adults, they probably felt a bit different, right? I'm sure going through it. But like, it wasn't a forefront. It wasn't a Canadian identity. It wasn't why you didn't break bread with someone or help someone. Yeah. It was not a part of who you were. And I just really want everyone, especially after this week, to just pause and take a second. Is politics need to be your identity, or is this just something we need to emotionally regulate ourselves and discuss like we do any other business? It's hard because it does involve personal stuff, but we really need to take our lenses off sometimes. And I think that's where liberals started. Take your fucking personal lens off and look at everybody else. And somehow that lens got smashed along the way. Is that how you kind of feel? Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah. Well, I was somebody who, so when I was younger, probably 2011, I was 18 or 17. I made a video and it started going viral on YouTube, and it was like things I hate. And I literally was like, I hate Amber Portwood from Teen Mom. Like, just, it was hilarious, but it was embarrassing. And I remember
we all been there.
The comments coming up being like, blah blah blah. Like, I don't even remember. It started getting political. That was like in 2011, and I was like, oh, I'm deleting this. I'm not doing this. And then I remember in 2012, I remember going on Tumblr, or maybe it was 2011, and this was the first kind of social justice thing, okay? Because they said white privilege on Tumblr, and they were talking about white privilege on Tumblr, and I was like, no. Like, I literally was like, no, I fear in Canada that we all have like equal playing field. And I remember being so young, being like, you're telling me that I have privilege when I was, like I told you, subjected to the things that I was subjected to? Like, absolutely not. Like, just because, not only that, I was like, I have never been pulled over and excused of a ticket because of my skin color. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, yeah, I've seen racism. I have seen racism, but it was always categorically, like, people would yell at that person. If a person was being racist, I would find, like, when we were in high school, they wouldn't be allowed to be racist, but it wouldn't be like a big thing. You know what I mean? It would be like, oh, shut up. Like, you would just ignore them kind of, and just,
dismiss it.
Yeah, exactly. And I fear that maybe Tumblr was the start of this whole snowball of, you have to think this way or else. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was probably the first time I had seen that. And that was 2011. Like, that was before I had my daughter. So I think that was the first time. It's funny because I had more conservative values when I was younger, because I was strictly very common sense driven. And then I went to college. I had my daughter. I was left while I was pregnant. And like, all of these things happened. And I think it was just a snowball effect of internet culture. And then all of a sudden, I would say all of the heat got all the way turned up. And I was doing the heat because I was in school doing these things, noticing these things. And then in 2015, with the election in America, with Hillary Clinton saying these people are deplorable, I think that was the fabric, like the foundation of both of our countries. For some reason, it was both of our countries split apart. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was my biggest thing, was that. And I have something to say over that, but yeah.
Carry on. Carry on. You're on it now. Don't lose a thought.
Okay, so I followed that election very closely as a Canadian for no reason. For no reason. I loved Bernie Sanders so much. I wanted that man to be my grandfather. I watched heavily. I couldn't believe how much of a movement Bernie had. And then for them to say that Hillary was the one that won that, 10 years ago, lost faith in politics. I was like, this is not real. We are watching a show. And then I remember feeling horrible for America because I had already known about Jeffrey Epstein and all of these things 10 years ago. And I seen so many photos of Clintons with Jeffrey Epstein and Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. And I also would get so upset over these things that they would say Trump would say. And I would look into it for myself because I'm very much I'm going to look into this myself. And when I realized that they were taking crap that he said out of context, which, you know, Donald Trump is an inflamer. He is very wild with the 100%. Things that he says. So like, it wouldn't surprise me. But I realized that they were manipulating out of me. And I was like, this has got to stop. So I would say from 2016, when Trump got in, you know, wasn't Hitler. I stopped paying attention because I was like, I'm done with this manipulation. I am done with you guys toying with my emotions. Not once has there been a concentration camp set up. Like, not once have you any of these things that you guys spread so much fear and division over even ever happened. Okay. I would say things I started caring again in 2020 when all of the things started to look a little different. So yeah, there was a good chunk there where I was like, I'm done risking my friendships, my family. Like, I'm done paying attention to politics until my life changes a lot more, because I was just so convinced that both sides were kind of similar, and in a way that they very much are, I will say that. But yeah, I just kind of was putting blinders on and just keeping on going, because I will say, like, Canada was pretty chill the first few years of Trudeau too. I will say that. Like, we were 100% kind of riding off of Harper's, you know, economy, and I would say until 2020, I was just kind of vibing. I was from 2016 to 2020, I was just vibing, having my babies, chilling, not paying attention. Like, I will say I was still a hippie. I was still like gardening, but I wasn't scared when I was doing these things back then. I wasn't like doing it in fear of necessity. Sorry, that took too long. But that's what I wanted to say, is that like, I've been through like this chaotic journey, especially in college. But I will say, when I went to college, it was like the code of ethics, not like these theories that they go off of now. Like, you know what I mean? I fear that they go off of gender and race and queer and all of those theories, whereas before it was an ethical standard of practice. So yeah, I wasn't even that, like, obviously when you're dealing with kids, you have to know the law, you have to know politics and stuff like that. But I would say after 2020, like, all of these, like I just like being like, these little things kept undoing all of the left. Because I would vote even green if I didn't like. Because I remember I didn't
like
Tom
for Mary, whatever the fuck her name is.
Yeah, I'm drunk lady. Like, I'm just voting green. I'm just voting green. Like, what is wrong with me? I don't know. But I was always, my grandfather taught me, you have a civic duty to vote. Although my grandmother doesn't vote, but he was very like, you have a civic duty, you're going to do this. And I voted for Jack Layton when I was 18 years old. Like, I have been voting in every single election. Now, has it always been at the forefront? No, but it's definitely been in one of those catalogs on the way back.
100%. And that's kind of where I was at. It's like, I think I voted just like what my family voted. And then I was in BC, and then I moved to Alberta. And I seen a huge change from red and orange to blue. And I was like, holy shit, like, this is much more aligned to what I believe in, to what I think. And I was also going into, like, you know, that like business era of my life, you know, my mid-20s, and where I'm building my life. And I was like, wow, I can actually build a life here. I can actually get ahead without having to go to school. Like, I have 1 year post secondary. I went for business admin because, like, I don't know what I want to do. So, like, I'll just do this so that I have a leg up from the bitches that didn't do anything from high school. That's where my head went until I figure it out. And I've always been a person that I just learn better in like real life and with like work experience. So I just went, and I've worked my way from the bottom as a secretary when I was in my 20s now up to being like one of the only people in Canada that does what I do in the cannabis field, right? Corporately. And like, so I just also, I think this is where those ideologies of like, you have to go to school, like the very, what I thought used to be conservative, but now seem to be liberal, like go to college, do all this, like, you know, I was just like, but I didn't have to. I did my work. Like I went to work and I did the thing, and that seemed more aligned with like conservative values, blue collar, like just go out there and do it. And then I kind of was getting devalued because I didn't have education, but I was like, but bro, I've been in this industry for 6 years. Like I know what I'm fucking talking about more than a person that maybe just like maybe they have like the book knowledge, but when it comes to like administration and accounts receivable, anything you need to manage an office, you get some skills, you learn some fucking Excel, you learn Outlook, and you learn from experience. And so I was just like, oh, I don't have to go to school to be successful. Now, did it take me longer to work my way up? Of course it did. But at the end of the day, that's earned experience with education, just in a different way. Why do you think that like nurses have practicums and stuff like that? Like, I don't know why people discredit work experience. No, it's like, okay, you learn something and then you go and do it in real life.
Yeah, I had to do 5,000 hours of like in the field. Like we'd have a semester of books, semester of field, semester of books. And I learned way more when I was in the field than I did in the books. Like
that's what I do not get. More. Yeah. And I've been in the corporate world too. And like, I've been up there too. And like, it's so interesting to me because like, I'll come up to like, let's say liberal, leftist, democratic thoughts of like, women don't go anywhere. Well, I am in corporate cannabis. Okay. It is a very male dominated area. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I am respected when I'm in those rooms with those men. Oh, I am respected when my name goes out there. It's like, oh, it's Brandy. She'll get it done. I am a woman, and there is no, and so I'm like listening to these things, and then it's people over like, you can't be happy in a 9-to-5 in corporate. Dude, I literally play around with weed all day. Like not physically anymore. I used to be in the plants. I used to be all around the product, but my job is to literally organize something that I have advocated for and loved my whole life. So yes, actually, as a matter of fact, you can have a corporate job that you do love. Go fuck yourself. Quit telling me as a woman that I don't have space, that I'm not respected, that I'm not going to make money. And yes, is there a little bit of a gender gap pay? Kind of, but like, okay, if we look at me and my spouse, bro, I am not going to go work in the oil field 12 hours a day in a fucking shack in -40, eating literally microwaved micro dinners sometimes. I'll sit in my cozy fucking office and make half as much money doing something else. And if women want to go do that, we have those opportunities, babes. Yes! You can go do that. You can go do that. I don't want to. So I'm very okay with him making that kind of money. And also, just a side rant, people that hate on oil and gas, my spouse pays 43 to 50% of his taxes. Everybody knows how much people make in the oil field. Some of y'all out there, no shade, make $20,000 to $30,000 and you pay maybe like 10 to 15%. So when you hate on oil field workers and people in blue collars, please remember how much money that these people are putting back into your country just by their taxes alone, because we see his check and it goes half away and then we listen to people talk shit. Yeah. Not even just the fact that oil and gas funnels this entire country, but then it's like, but he's gone 80% of our relationship, 50% of his hard-earned money goes to all of these things that were funded. We have a right to talk about why we're upset of where this money is going when he's gone half of the time. Mm-hmm. That's my side rant.
Yeah, politics. Absolutely. Like we moved up north, my husband's getting paid more than us combined down south, which I don't even know how we would survive if we were down south, living off of my school. If I still worked at the school, living off of my school, which is a good paying job, by the way. And any places down south, like they don't pay their blue collar workers because honestly, I will say that we have this chaotic society where there aren't a lot of hard workers. I would say in Southern Ontario because we have hard workers up north, but like he gets paid what he deserves finally up north, but it's like, oh, is this half the time slavery? Is this not what I wouldn't say that if we had access to all of our social services, but when we don't see the benefits, we don't see the benefits of the government taking 50% of our paycheck. I don't know how to justify it when it looks a little bit like slavery to me. Like, and, you know, it's funny that you say that you got those messages from the left because I very much valued education because when I was pregnant, like, I don't know if you know this, but I was left when I was pregnant and they like would always say like him and his family would be like, you're going to amount to nothing. You're going to be a single mom living off of welfare, all of these different things like single mom, nothing. You're going to amount to nothing. And then you know, I did, obviously. I went to school. And but here's the thing is that I remember thinking when I was a leftist and I held these thoughts for a long time, which brings me a lot of shame. But I think it was just grilled into us that, like, if you don't go to college, you're not successful. And then when I got pregnant, and they were like, if you don't go to college, you're not successful. You're going to be a failure of a mom, all of these different things. I fully expected my husband to go to school. And when he didn't, I was kind of like a little bit of elitist about it. I was like, well, what are you going to do then? Like, but then I see him working in his blue collar jobs, and he's been promoted at every job he's been to. He is the smartest, one of the smartest men I know. Like, he just built my daughter a huge swing set in the backyard. Like, he is so talented, so smart. He doesn't need school. He went to school to be a carpenter. Why does he need to go to school to be a legitimate carpenter when he can do all of those things on his own? Like, you know what I mean? I just had to sit, and this was like around 2020 era. And there were so many things that happened in that era where I was just peeling back all of the like brainwashing that they did to me, because, you know, they make you only feel valuable if you have a career. But if you're a mom, you're not allowed to, you know, have a career. You know, your life couldn't possibly be as good as mine. That's what they like. Some of the child free people, I know you don't have children, and I don't judge people who don't have children. I genuinely, if you don't want to have kids, don't have kids. It's the people who get on there and say like, oh, stay at home moms are are oppressed and all of these things. Well, I wouldn't be if you didn't make me get a medication that I can't work anymore. Like, it's this, you know what I mean? It's just this snowball.
What
like,
is
you
oppression to people?
Anything right to the left. There is nothing you can do on the left that would be legitimate for them. Like, if you have you're working in corporate, they would find some way to be like, oh, you're a capitalist, you're this, you're 100%. That, all of these things. Like, there is no, that's why I said in my, I don't know if you've seen it, but I was like, what does your revolution look like? What does your revolution 100%. Look like? Like, you don't even break bread, you don't even know how to make your own foods, like, because it's far right to do all of those things. And you know, I honestly, my biggest thing was that I got, especially the convoy, and how sick I was after, you know, making this sacrifice. And it still wasn't good enough. I had gone to BLM, Every Child Matters, and then the Freedom Convoy, and they were like, you're a white supremacist. I was at the BLM. I did all of those things that you told me to do. I'm sorry, this is bodily autonomy. And this has looked closer to fascism than anything I have ever seen in my life. And the history and alarm bells are going off, especially when I read what happened to in 2021 with Every Child Matters. Like, I went and actually read the legislation that they had put out over the years. Like, I'm talking old legislation. And that's when I realized, I was like, oh, they displaced. So people lived here. They took over the land, put them in reservations, made their kids go to residential schools, indoctrinated them. Like, boy, this seems familiar. And I remember reading what they did to the kids in the residential schools and having this like come to Jesus moment that they were not, that looked the same as what schools looked like during the pandemic. Schools during the pandemic were concentration camp. I don't say that lightly. Like, the things that they made the kids do were mental and physical torture. And I don't say that lightly. I'm genuinely, like, people in jail in Canada were having a better time than, I promise you, the kids. And now I will say not every school looked like that, because each principal was in charge of the public health measures at the schools. But like, I'm talking, we would force the kids, if you were in a class and nobody in your class liked you, you were forced to stay on a certain part of the playground at recess, and you were not allowed to play with your friends. Like, you had to stand there and watch your friends in another class do those things. And like, just the rigidness of, like, because people are probably like, oh my God, that's a huge thing to say. I don't, maybe not concentration camps, but like, honestly, like, on residential schools, like, it was like, I couldn't believe the lack of humanity that teachers had to protect themselves, like, under the guise of protecting themselves. And the things that we were doing to the kids and us was just, it was torturous. Like, and I'm talking like you can't talk during meals, because even though all 30 of us are in this portable, and you're gonna, if one of us gets it, we're all gonna get it anyways. But I don't care about that. You're not allowed to speak to each other during lunchtime. You are not allowed to even, you weren't allowed to like turn your chair like this. And it was honestly horrible. And that's when I started to realize, oh, history is repeating itself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. History is repeating itself. And, not that long after, my daughter came home and said a bunch of stuff like, why do people hate gay people? And it was honestly like so much of this stuff was just unraveling in front of me from 2020 on that, and like I went to
out to the woods we go.
Went to go in a renovation, and we went to go put in solar panels because I was, green queen, whatever, environmental, vegan for 5 years. Sobbed when I found out I had to get oil and gas because solar panels were so expensive. They were our entire budget. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. Why do we have the carbon tax if they want me to buy these green things, but then they put tariffs on solar panels from China and all of the materials that they need from China too. So that's why solar panels are so expensive. And then it was just this snowball like this. Like I couldn't believe how much I'd been lied to, because I looked into oil and gas. I looked into pipelines. I'm sorry, they convinced me that a pipeline is worse for the environment than shipping our gas and oil on a ship over the ocean. Over the ocean. And I realized we're okay with exploiting other parts of the earth, but we're too good to touch ours. Okay. And that's like, we're okay with getting exploited, labored gas and all of these things, but we're not going to touch Canada. Like, you tell me what you think that is, because I don't understand that whatsoever. Like, if we care about the earth in Canada, wouldn't you care about it everywhere? Like, what are the solutions to this? Because
pick and choose.
Yeah, like it's choose. Just all of these things. And by the way, topics on the left that made me leave the left. Like all of these things.
100%. Well, it's for me. Again, like as soon as I moved to Alberta in my early 20s, I would just like vote conservative, and I didn't really get involved in politics until politics felt like it was getting involved in my life. When all of a sudden it was like, what do you mean I have to do this? Like, I was complicit at first. I was like, okay, you guys, like, couple weeks. That's all they said. After the 2 weeks, I was like, this is fucking weird. Why? And it started to feel like, because I've been in MLMs before, so I've been in cults. I know that they take over vulnerable people. I know what they do with fear. And I was just starting to like, this sounds funny, but I was actually getting into the anti-MLM YouTube realm, because I was searching for validation for being like, okay, this is not okay, right? Like, I'm not a hard worker. And so then I found that, and then I started understanding what cult mentality was like and group mentality and how they do that there. And then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and I seen that happen live in front of me, and I'm like, okay, well, I've been lied to, I've been abused, I've been around narcissists, I've seen people lie and say one thing and do another thing. Like, I also had not a good time. So back to your point about not having kids, birth control fucked me. So haven't been able to conceive. So if adoption wasn't super expensive, that would probably be the route we would go. But they make that very difficult. Another topic, another time. But I kind of got my distrust for Western medicine through birth control in my early 20s. So I had already kind of been through a situation where someone told me something was safe and effective and I wouldn't get hurt, but then it hurt me. And then I recovered from being a pill addict because I was addicted to Tylenol 3 from 13 to like 22, and I lived and breathed on them because that's what I was given for my period cramps instead of what's wrong with you. It was like, here's some Tylenol 3. Now I'm born and bred in an addictive family. I'm an addict myself. And that at 16 started a Western pharmaceutical pill addiction to the point where I would lie about I would just take them. So I was numbed out all the time. So that was my experience with doctors. It was like, we care about giving you a prescription and we don't actually care what's wrong with you. So when the pandemic happened and then I learned about all of this and then I seen them start pushing the medication, I started to kind of be like, wow, government is actually more involved in my free will than I thought that they were. Because before I'm like, okay, policies, international stuff, like I don't really care. Then it started getting personal and to like a provincial and local level where I was like, well, what do you mean I can't go somewhere? What do you mean? And I didn't like Justin Trudeau. I don't know, man. Something about his face. There's just something about his mouth that bothers me. I know, right? But like, you know, when someone just bothers you, same with Beyonce. No shade to her, but there's just something about her that just bugs me. Anyway, so there's just something. But either way, I wasn't really into it. It's when the pandemic happened that I really was like, I need to learn about this, but I'm going to start in America because it was 2020. And I didn't really pay attention to the Hillary Clinton and Trump thing. However, when we came to 2020 and I started getting into it, I was starting to see like, okay, you guys say he's all these things, but the last 4 years, none of these things have happened. So I kind of caught on to that when I jumped right in. I was like, hey, but wait, he was already in office for 4 years and those things didn't happen. So not saying he was great, not saying he was polished or perfect, but it wasn't as bad as you guys made it out. So when that and then that's when I started getting into politics, and then I watched The Fall of the Cabal, and then I became a conspiracy theorist for a couple years. And then now that I've come out on the other side, I'm more of a balanced individual, because that side is also a little fucking nutty sometimes.
I have
right.
Like there's people in my life that are kind of like really hardcore, right? Well, they were in my life, and I couldn't put up with that crap either.
Any extremist, man. So that's where it's come back to now. It's like, yes, politically, I align more with the right as it currently stands. And if I voted, that's where my vote is, because I agree with more of their behaviors and their reactions. And I can also hold them accountable without being persecuted within my own political beliefs. However, that is not my fucking identity.
Yeah.
And I'm very tired of being labeled, well, because you're conservative, then you must be X, Y, and Z. Because, bro, that's not it. And I like, that's what I said, like I was talking to you earlier. Did we change where we were, or did what a conservative and liberal change from when we grew up in 10 years ago?
Flipped, in my opinion, because here's all the things that made me left-leaning. I hated vaccines. My child stopped talking after his 12-month vaccines, and that was in 2017. Because pro-choice used to be a left-leaning thing, you know?
It did.
But even like, you know, if we're not gonna say I'm vegan, that made me right-leaning, but even I made a point to shop local, to make sure that I was getting everything that my kids ate, and what I ate was, you know, healthy for us. I made everything, I gardened, and all of those things made me left-leaning. And then all of a sudden, all of the things I'm doing make me right-leaning. But I will say, I think that, like, I just think the left has gotten so extreme, because even with your birth control story, they would call you anti-birth control for talking about your own experience with birth control. Like, and that's so dangerous to me, because we've gotten so far from informed consent that now we say people who have had problems with medication in their body are conspiracy theorists, anti-science. Like, I'm sorry, what in the world have we gone to? And you know, it used to be, I will say, conservatives were the ones that were like, let's have anything that we can in our food, like who cares, like, you know, have a huge glass of, you know, in America their pops are like this, right? Like that's what I picture.
Soda.
And I fear, like, I don't know though, because even I think the left has gotten so extreme, and people will say, oh, well, it's not all the left. But I genuinely think that both sides have extreme people, but the left's extremists, there's so many more of them. And even after this week, because, you know, this is coming out after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, seeing how, like, okay, to me, here's the thing. They just, you know, I have a hard time comprehending this, because I was following someone who said that Charlie Kirk was violent, his words were horrible, all of these different things, that he deserved it because he was literally Hitler. But then they turn around and say, protect Rachel Gilmore. And yes, protect Rachel Gilmore, because nobody should be unalived for their views. Like, but just the cognitive actual dissonance, like Rachel has divided the country.
She is.
Rachel has spread misinformation, and she lies straight up and spreads hate. And I went to the Million Man March. Okay, the way she reported on that was a straight up lie. It was a lie. And I still, imagine that, don't think that she would ever deserve the outcome of what Charlie Kirk has, because I'm a human. And that cognitive, like, I had to unfollow people this week, and I love being in both sides because I don't want to be in an echo chamber. I want to talk. Charlie Kirk's right. As soon as we stop talking, bad things happen. But after this weekend, knowing how many people that I was following would, honest to God, be cheering on my death because I vote a certain way, I don't even know if I was ready to, criticize Pierre Polyev. I don't care who's in. It is like, even Mark Carney. I have given Mark Carney way more grace because I don't want to have this horrible outlook on life and just be negative all the time. They still talk about Pierre Polyev like he is literally Hitler. And I just think to myself, have you guys actually, and they don't, because they think that watching these things will send them down the alt-right pipeline. They're unwilling to even converse at this point. And I don't even know where to go from there. And it's just, I know I sound horrible saying that, but the amount of stuff that they have allowed that has actually harmed our society, whether it be MAID, whether it be allowing criminals back on bail because you guys feel bad for them. And instead of doing the progressive thing, which would be to put them in a facility and get them the help that they need, you guys keep putting them out and out and out. What about transitioning children? What about the fact that, like, there's so many things that have caused actual harm? We did not have this divide before you guys brought in your race politics, your identity politics, and all of the other
gender
things.
Politics.
Yeah, everything is just, it's been destroyed. And you know what? I don't blame the left entirely for that. Like, the people, obviously, but they genuinely think that we're some sort of threat. Why? Because we don't want kids. Like, I'm not even far right. I think that we should go back to, they've done such a disservice to trans people and people with intersex, like, because these are real freaking conditions. And they've taken them and told everybody, hey, you can be this. It doesn't matter what, you've gone through, and it doesn't matter if you even have gender dysphoria. You can be and do whatever you want. And here, let's throw a bunch of medicine at you. You know what I mean? It's just been such a crazy thing to watch over the last few days because I try not to be divisive. I do not want, I think unity is the answer. I genuinely do. But at some point I have to be like, you guys are scary. You're scary and you're actually causing harm. And I don't know where to go from here when over half of their base is okay with watching a man be assassinated for literally talking.
Literal words. Because
and words can't
anybody...
be
No, and they're also quoting the wrong words. So, like, and one thing is, like, that I would like to point out too is, like, there is something on this side, on the right side, that I don't love right now too, in this rhetoric, because at Chew Me Alive right side, I'm fine with that because I can criticize you. Keep that in mind. You can't say in one breath though that like I just want people to dial out for a second for this. Yes, he did get assassinated. Yes, he is a conservative. He's also, though, Christian, and a lot of what he does is his base is in God, right? So we've now taken this man who was just trying to spread the word and get people involved in free thinking and critical thought and made it political too. We've made his death also political, which is super wild to me because then that inflates everybody else, because at the core of it, he was really just trying to get kids involved in their own lives and to find God, right? And I think that's such a sad thing now. It's like all across the news, it's like right-wing extremists, and he wasn't. Like, y'all are making the extreme sides more extremist by this verbiage, and we need to also take accountability on this side. I'm sorry, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe some of these shooters were all trans, but the right, you cannot say in one breath that there's not this many trans people in the world and then say every single shooting up into this far has been a trans person. Like,
I don't,
you know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm struggling with a little bit. I'm like, I don't,
the psyop.
Exactly. And I'm not saying that it was who it was, but I think immediately people went to that because this is what I'm going to explain. The reason why people on the right went immediately to the left did this was strictly because of their reactions to him dying.
Yes.
It was like, hey, maybe it wasn't a left-leaning person that did that. We don't know. Everything is still up in the open. And you can't in one say that you do not believe anything about the FBI and the Epstein thing and be like, oh, well, they caught him and everything is true in this case. Like, we need to have some discernment on this side as well and understand that there is also agenda by the media to stoke that as well, including independent creators get paid to stoke both sides. And I need people to understand this, because to your point, Jamie, where do we go? Stoking the fire on either side is not what Charlie would want. It is not what God would want. And we can be mad and we can hold accountability, but we're not going to retaliate. That's where I'm at, right? That's where I want us to hopefully see the difference and not point blame immediately without taking our emotions down a second. How can it be every single one is trans, you guys? Come on. You have to see that there might be a bigger, especially if you are a conspiracy-driven individual. You should see that they're trying to paint a fucking pattern here. And I'm not saying not all of them, but I'm just saying we need to take a moment, because we are also not we, but like, let's not contribute to the divide. And maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but
no, people ask me why I didn't cover the shooting at the Catholic school. And I was like, because I think there's enough coverage of it. And I do think that this is some sort of thing to throw people who are transitioning under the bus. Because like I said, and here's the thing though, I will say this, the one person I seen in my career, like working, the one kid who was trans actually did commit violence in front of me. Like, because I was pregnant, they waited until everybody was gone and it was just me and this other person, and they waited for her to leave. They waited outside the door and attacked her, and they did it in front of me because they knew I was pregnant and wouldn't be able to stop it. So I will say that, but that's what my whole point of this is that this is a huge deal. Taking hormones, like we all, after that, this was back in I don't even remember, a long time ago, 2015, 2014. Mm-hmm. We all sat down and had a meeting about this kid, like doctors, nurses. And we were like, okay, maybe they need less tests. You know what I mean? Like it was a huge deal, because it is a huge deal to change your gender. Like to appear the opposite sex is a massive deal if you're using medication to do so. Mentally crazy. Yeah. And that's why I also have compassion for people who are transitioning, because I also know, okay, guys, some people are born with intersex, and it is happening more because of all the crap that we have in our waters and all of these things.
And echo chambers.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that it was pointing, like, I'm not kidding you, every 2 minutes, it was like trans this, trans that, trans this. And I just thought to myself, like, oh, you know me, I'm like a little conspiracy theorist, but I'm like, I'm K Ultra. I'm K Ultra. Like,
well, and I'm not disagreeing, and I'm not saying, like, I guess what I want to look at is, instead of being like, oh, all these individuals are trans, it's like all of these individuals were in an echo chamber online in the Reddit threads, and they were also on heavy SSRIs mixed with maybe hormone stuff. So instead of saying it's the trans people and making it about trans people are this thing, I think the best way to come at it is like, what is the same in all of these individuals outside of that when it comes to their medication, their home life, their environment? I think that is what we need to look at, because it's a mental health issue, because there are people with gender dysphoria that are among us that I respect, that you wouldn't even fucking know if they didn't tell you. Look at Blair White. Watching Blair White's reaction to Charlie Kirk dying made me fucking just absolutely buck angel. Stop. Like, this is the thing, Candace Owens, that. Like all the people that they're saying, all the categories that they say he is racist, homophobic, transphobic. There is a group of people that in those subsections that love him, women, all of those things. So like, I guess that's what I just, but what I just meaning is like, we just have to pause for a second and understand that just how Charlie is being viewed on that side, we do not want to then mimic that for this individual, especially if you are a true believer of God. And that is like, we need to hold people, but you know what I mean? Like, until it's said and done, let's hold back being like, well, you know, yes, we need to have accountability, but this, again, labeling all individuals the same is dangerous. By saying the right is this way, the left is this way, then any person that you meet that just accidentally goes, oh, well, yeah, I voted for Trump or I voted for Pierre. Immediately it's like, oh, well, you're racist because it's been inflamed. So I just want us to also take a moment of self-reflection of what the right could be seeing and perpetrating on the other side. And I'm seeing it and I'm like, y'all are fucking falling for it.
I know,
said during the pandemic that you wouldn't fall for it, but stop participating. Be accountable. Hold people accountable. Have humanity. But to then meet that with the same vitriol. And sure, we're not blowing up things and we're not rioting yet. We need to call out our extremes and hold that accountable as well. So what is it? Is it trans or is it mentally ill people that are confused and in echo chambers and on SSRIs? Because I truly don't believe that real people with gender dysphoria that are true trans people want this. I don't think that they just get up and hate everybody. It's a couple of confused kids on a lot of drugs that could be under MK Ultra, either through Reddit threads, through people DMing them. Like, look at Roblox and all those things now. Like, this could have started very young, and say he had a hate for his parents because he had conservative views and maybe he was gay and he's confused. And then you just get into his echo chamber where everyone is validating you. And you're like, yes, I'm right. This is on both sides. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't think people just wake up and go, I want to do a school shooting. And also, y'all on the left, you want to talk about gun violence. This is predominantly happening in Catholic schools and Christian schools. So you want to be like, why didn't we talk about it? To Jamie's point, it doesn't look good for you. It doesn't look good for you.
Yeah.
Whether the narrative or not, the locations, there's no question that the locations have been Christian and Catholic schools. We can debate about what the shooter's ideology was, because sometimes, like I'm saying, you can't believe fake media and then believe fake media. That's all I'm saying. Be discernment.
Yeah,
right?
And
like,
there's lots going on right now too. Like, I don't agree with what Trump is doing. I haven't, and neither did Charlie Kirk. You know what I mean? Like, I've been watching Candace Owens pretty intently for the last, since she's been fired since Daily Wire, because I thought it was super honorable of her to stand on what she believes in. And I've only been watching people since the election. I kind of noticed, I actually stopped watching Charlie Kirk because I was like, he's too involved with the government. He's not providing what I thought he was providing anymore, and I genuinely stopped watching him. I'm gonna go back and watch the episodes because I did notice near the end that he was talking about certain things that probably got him in trouble. But you know, I wish too that the left would, that's my biggest qualm with this, is that I wish they would just watch the other side, because there's so many, I would say, center leaning or non-politically homeless who are used to be on the right, like Blair White. I would say that she has gone up against the Trump administration this entire time. Because
hell yeah.
Like, and she's been amazing. She's been interviewing Epstein victims. Like, she has been doing amazing things. Same with Candace. And I like Ian Carroll. I don't like, but that's the thing. People are like, well, why don't you listen to Nick Fuentes? Because I don't like people who get people inflamed like that. I do not like
extremists.
Yeah, I'm not an extremist, and I can't do it. I can't do it with people on the left. I can't do it with people on the right. I am not. And I swear to you, girl, people have tried to honeypot me into getting me to like not like certain races and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not racist. I'm not going to assume a thing about a giant population. I know you guys think that I am, but I'm not. And I'm not going to, I refuse to, because, you know, I don't know if you've seen the video yesterday where I was like, this is why Queers for Palestine is so confusing. Because to me, I can see why what is going on there would be not okay. It's not okay. And no matter what their laws are or what goes on, it's not okay to do that to people. And then I can also see, though, that it's, you know, not okay to do that to people who have less like, you know what I mean? I feel we're so lost right now. And, you know, I used to think the internet, and I obviously like have a podcast and talk about politics. And I do think media has played a massive contribution to our divide, And even me, who only has 3,000 followers on YouTube or subscribers, and then like 7,000 on TikTok, like every time
I have 80. You have lots.
Every time I open up my voice, though, I think, am I being too divisive? Am I being too mean? Do I need to take it back? I'm not kidding you. I have drafts upon drafts upon drafts, because I don't want it to seem like I'm endorsing Rachel Gilmore getting harassment. I don't, but I'm also, you got, like, the left does need to see, you guys created this environment. We need to go back. If it's not okay with one, it's not okay with the other. And same with the right. And I will say this, though, that if you work with a vulnerable sector, or if you work for the government and you are celebrating, that would be grounds to lose your job even before all of the woke stuff. Like, that would be when we sign up to work with the vulnerable sector, we know that we cannot show a bias like that, because our clients could look us up and say, you're treating me bad because you don't like conservatives, you know, or you're treating me bad because you don't like liberals. You have to remain very neutral when you're working. And I believe in freedom of speech, but I also know that with the way I talk online, I wouldn't be able to go and get a job at a school anymore. You know what I mean? I just know that because of what I talk about. But you know what I mean? It's just, I feel bad because I don't want us to stoop to the lowness that the left did during 2020. I don't want to riot. Charlie would not have wanted us to riot. Jesus doesn't want us to riot. Like, that's the thing though, is that I will see people on the right and I will comment and be like, hey, if you think this is okay, like, I don't think you think this is okay because you were not okay with the left doing that.
100%.
And I think we need to be brought back down because I do think things are being inflamed. I think that Trump is not helping that situation. And I do think that he's doing a lot of more sketchy stuff. But the left wouldn't know that the right is doing that because they're so afraid to even listen to them. And, you know, I say this all the time. I used to be very anarchist. You know what I mean? Like, no government at all. And then as I get older and I've seen anarchy, like, our country is anarchy. This is what happens when we don't have police. This is what happens when we don't put people in jail. And we do need to, like, we need to have a side that thinks, not that thinks one way, but if one side thinks a certain way, we have to have somebody in there to oppose it. Like, debate is so important. And I do understand that maybe they're trying to keep us divided, but I also don't buy that either because we had two sides of the political spectrum in 2010 and we didn't fight. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't necessarily think it's, oh, two birds, one wing. It can be because I've seen that in America right now. Yeah. But I do think that some parties, you know, do govern differently. And what I prefer to, you know, what I remember is being at my lowest in real life during Harper and being able to crawl myself out of a hole. And time again, even if I got shoved back down, I could crawl back out. And during Justin Trudeau, especially after 2020, there is no crawling us back out. There is, like, and for me, I've just had the worst luck. And, you know, I think about it and I think, were these things supposed to happen to me so I could be who I am now and have the voice that I have? And as much as I don't want to go through those things, I should have never gone through them. Like, yeah, they have made me who I am. They have made me stronger. And I just think it's important that we need to remember to, okay, I'm going to say a little lyric here because My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade, has gotten me through. Like, there's this verse, the bridge in there says, do or die, you'll never take me because the world will never take my heart. Although it will try, it'll never break me. We want it all. We want to play this part. I won't explain. Oh, or say I'm sorry. I'm unashamed. I'm going to show my scars. So give a cheer for the broken because this is who we are. And I just, like, think that's such a inspiring message because, like, when I listen to it, I got goosebumps saying it. When I listen to that, I literally am like, yeah, the world will never take my heart. Like, and I understand the song the older I get because the world does try to take your heart. They do try to wear you down.
Take
and I
humanity.
remember watching Gerard Way because he watched 9/11 happen in real life, and that's why My Chemical Romance was birthed, because he was just like, there's so much violence. We need to stop reacting with violence. Like, this is not okay. These people, like, it traumatized him, obviously, watching from the train, watching people jump and, like, doing all of these things. And he's just like, and he had this epiphany of how much violence is out there and kind of wanted to sing about it. And I just think that that's exactly what we need to remember. Like, don't let this world, don't let the lefties, don't act like a lefty. Don't put that name on you. Don't let them label you racist and you actually be racist. We're not racist. We know that. Like, no. Don't let them, you know, prove themselves right. We aren't those things. And, but I also, like Blair White said, I completely understand where the anger comes from, because I can have extreme, like, honestly, I can get really pissed off when I think about how much the left's policies, the liberals' policies and NDPs have completely disrupted and destroyed my life. But I also 100%. Know what it was like to be on the left and know what it's like to be brainwashed like that. Because what I think happens is that the left will take people who don't have a strong family unit, who had to be maybe raised by the government or rely on the government. And then the government to them becomes this reliable structure that they kind of not even, I seen yesterday someone compare it to like their religion. Like they genuinely don't have gods. Some of these people don't have families. And you're right. They can get into these algorithms and just snowball, and they can think like, oh, you're genuinely a bad person if you think this way. And I've been in it. I know what it's like to be in a state of fight or flight because of the left. So I understand both sides, honestly, but this is where a part in history where we see that if we're going to unify, which I hope we do, I really hope we do. I truly hope that we can get to a point again where it's 2010 and we're all just at the Olympics cheering on everything together, or even like when the Raptors won the basketball game. Like, let's go back. Remember, we're Canadian, and we, but I also know that Canada's not the same. Like, I can't afford to do the things I've wanted to do.
Yeah,
like, that could bring us together.
Who can afford that?
I can't even afford to go to Wonderland and have that collective experience anymore. And that's what I think sucks the most, is that, there's so many things going on, and that's why I like to call myself center right, because I don't want people to think that, because I also believe that they take religion and they take these ideologies like Marxism and they pervert it. Well, I think Marx probably was perverted, but you know what I mean? Like, they take it and they run with the extremes of it on both sides. And I can see that. And I wouldn't want, just because I'm a Christian, I wouldn't want our policies and things to be dictated by the Bible. And I also don't, I've been on the left and I didn't want Marxism to come in. So I don't know. It's
about coming together, and it's about finding common ground and building off of that, not hating each other because of the differences. It's like, okay, like when cannabis first came out, it's like, I understand that people think that's the devil's lettuce, and there's some people that are like, that is my medicine. So how do we slowly start bridging people together to say, look, it's not the devil's lettuce, but look, there's also some risks and there's vulnerable people we need to protect through this. And then you start working together. And then as things have gotten together, we have seen lenience on legalities, being able to have more access to it, taking the clinical look out of it and being able to be like, but then also being like, there is risks with this, right? And I think that was a cool thing for me to watch with the cannabis industry, is like being such an advocate, being a huge stoner, but still having the understanding that this product could have ruined somebody's life, or it could have hurt somebody else, or maybe it currently is taking a father away from a home, or a mother away. Like, I understand that, but let's come together. And then when people would meet me, they wouldn't know I'm a stoner right away. Well, obviously now you do social media, but I wouldn't say it at first. And then I wouldn't even know.
I honestly wouldn't even know unless I said it. Like,
exactly. Right? And then I'd be like, oh no, I'm a huge stoner. And people would be like, but you teach cardio and you're super hyper and you do this and you do so many things. I was like, cool. Yeah. That means dick fuck all. Like, you don't like stereotypes. And so then I was starting to change the stigma around it. But understanding that this is what I want to leave this kind of with, and I think you're in the same boat, is that we have had different lenses in our lives that has definitely made political, this side, that side, look different. But at the end of the day, that is truly how we're voting. It's the behaviors. And at this point, I don't think it's left or right, Republican, conservative. I think it's good versus evil. And you can vote on whichever you want, but how you show up online is going to be good or bad. And there's going to be repercussions if it's bad. And so it should be. We want to know why our society is shit, is because we're not holding people accountable for shit behavior. And when we do, it's not even real shit behavior. It's hyped up, conflated. Like, let's call out racism, but let's actually call it out. Not, oh, well, the forests are racist because some people can't afford tickets. Bitch, I can't afford to go to the parks.
Yeah,
math. What are we talking about?
Math is not racist. Like, math is not racist. Stop. Like, just stop. We don't need
because it takes it away.
Yes.
And that's where it is. It's like, we just have to find the balance of the extremes. And I don't believe majority of people are extremes, but we on each side need to have the conversations within our own, so we're not in echo chambers. And I think that some more people that are right-leaning conservatives, because we've been so heavily criticized by what is popular right now, have had those conversations. It's emotionally regulating before you get into those conversations and taking your personal bias out and taking that lens off, while understanding that while you're communicating with other people, they might have different experience lenses on. You can sit here and be like, we need more gun reform because my son was in a school shooting and that's scary, but the person beside you was like, thanks to the not the strict gun laws, my son was saved because someone was able to use their Second Amendment right to defend that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, two truths can exist at the same time, and we just have to understand that and come together and stop fucking clipping people. Like, stop clipping people. Watch the whole context. That is also my other thing.
Biggest advice to people is
stop being Dory. Fuck.
Don't think that you're gonna fall down any alt-right pipeline. Like, having other views in your life is very important. Like, I am very pro-choice, but I also understand why people don't like schmishmorsman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I didn't
to a degree
sense of that, but like,
you're good here.
Where both sides comes from when it comes to different subjects, and that is so helpful. That is so helpful to be able to say, okay, where are these people coming from? You know, I would just say, honestly, my biggest advice for all of our social, social services, everything, go back to ethical standard of practice. That is not rooted in any ideology. It is rooted in truth. It is rooted in and that is like essentially like do no harm, confidentiality, like all of those things. Even if you applied those to your real life, it would be the key success to our society getting along and building trust again, because so much distrust has happened. And you know, like people see people like us who look at the medical industry kind of crazy, but I also want to remind people, you should be very thankful that another way to look at it is you should be thankful that you've never been impacted by medication like this. You should be grateful. Like, just see where people are coming from. It's not always like people always clip Alex Clark. I don't know if you know her. She does. Yeah, she
Apothecary podcast.
Yep. Yes. And they will clip her about like birth control or vaccines or something, and they just take it completely out of context. And she has people on there who are pro-vaccine, anti-vax. Like, she has the spectrum of differing opinions on there. And I think that's so important, but people wouldn't even watch the rest of her because they think, oh, she's spreading misinformation, she's harmful, all of these things. Like, we need to learn to listen to each other again, desperately. And I just, there's so many men that I follow right now on the right who are kind of really upset about what happened to Charlie.
Very hurting.
And I think both just you and I probably want to give the message of, remember Charlie's message. Remember what he wanted. He wanted us to have civil discourse. He wanted us to be able to discuss. He did not want violence. He did not I said that in my TikTok yesterday, like, he was attacked by Antifa. They, dumped water all over him and he still smiled. He didn't retaliate. He didn't yell. Like, he genuinely, the more I look at Charlie, because he was somebody that I have definitely followed over the last 5 years. But not like I watch Candace every day. Like, Candace is like, the kids are going upstairs, mom's making dinner, Candace Owens,
my show's on.
Like, yeah, like I watch her live stream every day. Like, she's my primetime television. But like, to see something so shocking happen to somebody who, was such a like, I've never reacted like that to a celebrity. I'd probably react like that if Panic at the Disco or MCR died, but this just seems like it was such an impactful thing. And instead of harnessing that energy to be destructive, we need to harness this energy to come together. And I will say that so many people I've seen like turn to God or, finally admit that they're not a Democrat and just talk about having discourse. And it's just so amazing to me to see the good come out of this, but we also need to be aware of the bad that might come out of it and call it out too, because we can't let our side stoop and wear those labels like they want us to. You know what I mean?
100%. And show them that, again, it's like above that. It's like, I'm a fucking human being. And even if that was Hassan Piker, if he was sitting out there any of those, let's say, left streamers that were out there, if they were sitting out there and got shot, I would be mortified. Watching that is just not normal, and it's okay to be upset about that. And I don't want to lose the humanity in me. And it also shown a lot of stuff. So maybe other people are feeling this right now. We're getting mirrors. We're getting mirrors. Are we being the best person to our neighbors? Are we being the best person to ourselves? Are we showing up properly online and adding fuel to the fire based on our own egos? Or are we spreading messages because that is a good message to be sending? It has thrown me through this spiral of self-reflection, of introspection, of my relationship with God and what that means, and those around me, holding them also accountable to being the best people that they can, and all of that, and living more. And Charlie wasn't a perfect man. He was a Christian as well. I'm sure had his sins, and I'm not going to sit here and say he was perfect and the things that he did, like that he didn't misspeak or say things wrong. I'm not going to say that, but he's not those titles that people said he is. And to your point, I don't want to go and someone just clip those to make me look like I'm the worst person in the world, when majority of people have seen the clips that have changed their absolute lives. And you can go on social media and find how many people right now are turning to God, are saying, Charlie changed my life. They're people of color. They're people of all different, they're trans, there's gays, there's people of every single culture I've seen in religion come forward, even people that are Jewish, like that are like, yo, like it's absolutely beautiful. And I just hope that we can come closer to self. We can come closer to reflecting. Are we being this way to our neighbors? Are we being this to people we disagree with? How are we showing up in the world? And you don't need to follow God to just be a good fucking person and bite back that ego. Online has allowed our egos to run wild and say things, myself included. So I just urge everybody through this political left, right, absolutely have your votes and all that. But I think people forget it's not left and right. It's what your values and your beliefs are, and where those parties line with the most. Not that those parties' values and alignments are my values. They just line up closer for what I want. And I want people to see people as humans, as Christians, as atheists, as Jewish people, as Muslims, as all of that, and have some respect, unless their religion is overpowering onto yours and your rights in your life, then keep it to yourself, right? There is racism, there is homophobia, there is transphobia, but it's also a small percentage. So we need to call those out, but call out the people that are blanketing everybody that as well, because that's where we get divided, is when we start labeling things. What are we doing? Like, I am more than just a woman and white and believe in God and a podcaster. Like, I am a fucking psycho. I'm a cat mom. I'm a stoner. I'm funny. I'm a creator. I'm so many different things. And that's what the uniqueness is of everybody. And I'm not being dialed up to, I'm a conservative white woman. I'm not being that cool. On a ballad, that is what I am. But I'm sorry that maybe your political identity is entirely who you are, but that's not who I am. And I think people are starting to come out to being like, hey, you don't know my politics and my religious, because that's not my entire identity. Like, y'all all decide to make it needs to be. I'm so much more, but I'm going to stand firm and 10 toes down in my belief and my values, as long as it doesn't supersede someone else's life.
And once you detach yourself, like once you realize that you're not defined by your political beliefs, like you're defined by the actions that you take in your community, how you treat your children, how you treat your parents, your spouse, your, like everybody around you, and, what you do in your spare time, and how you, show up in this world, that is what defines you. And I think that both, sometimes the left and the right, I would say I do see it more on the left, like they tie their identity to being on the left. And I, and both sides, I would just tell everybody to take a step back. Like even me, sometimes take a step back and realize that who you vote for is not who you are. And we need to definitely 100% get back to that, because if we have friends who are, like nice and kind people, there should be no reason why who they voted for even be your business, number one. Number two, and like I do this dichotomy with myself all the time, because I talk about politics all the time, and I'm also like, I would, if I could give up us all judging each other based upon politics, I would not have my channel based on that. Like, okay, fine, we're not going to do it, let's not do it. it's really just the fact that I was so brainwashed, and we have to talk about both sides. Like, that's why I started talking about it, because I was stolen from for $5,000, and I was like, this is enough. This is enough. I'm done with this. I cannot keep my mouth shut any longer. Like, I'm done.
And
so like, that's what.
And to your point though, like, and the thing is like, but there's a difference of calling out current policy, and it just so happens that liberals are in charge, versus just like, I hate everybody because they're a liberal, or like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, sorry that liberals have been in charge for the last 10 years. They're the people I'm criticizing. If conservatives were in or had a chance, I would be criticizing them as well. I criticize Pierre Poilievre. I haven't had a fucking chance. Like, so when I'm criticizing and I'm saying, right? Like, and so when I say left or right, I'm talking people that make their entire identity political beliefs, and I'm talking about the government that is running our policy. And if you are a person on the left or the right and you feel called out, that means that you identify as that strictly as who you are, not someone that you just vote for. And that is something you need to be reflective of, not take that out on me. And I've had people be like, well, I'm not be friends with you because you call out liberals and leftists. Well, is your whole entire identity to hate conservatives? Yeah, well then, okay, maybe we have a problem. But if it's not, then I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the extremists that are making shit like this, not moderates, not center-leaning people. Like, I'm talking about the actual true government that is making my life hell, not my neighbor that's liberal and just wants to live her lesbian life. That's fine. I'm not saying my neighbor is, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm talking about. So, yeah, like, and again, self-reflection.
Yeah,
I'm always reflecting.
Like, my premise when I first started was, hey, I'm not a bad person for supporting the convoy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, exactly. We need to talk about this. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, we need to have more discussion. And that's why I've never, until people start to say scarier things, and I will say I am watching my comments now. Like, I don't delete comments of people who hate me. I don't delete comments of people who disagree with me. A lot of people do, and I get it, because people attack you all the time. Like, it's a horrible, if you can't deal with it, delete them. But for me, 100%. I believe we should have discourse. We should be able to disagree with each other. And that's why I leave those comments up. Now, I will say someone on my YouTube was saying that he needs to hold me accountable. And I don't know what that means anymore. So I was like, bye-bye. You don't say things
that's
like
a little much.
Like, how are you going to hold me? Like, I'm not, like, people who like me would comment with like, oh, you're right, and this is what I, disagree with. But he, paragraph, and I'm like, why do you watch someone you hate so much? Are you getting paid to do this? Like, I don't watch
Get people. A hobby.
If I don't like them, I like, even the people that I talk about, like, I don't know if you know, but I went viral for like talking about family vloggers. I don't watch the family vloggers. I don't support that. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, guys. Like,
I watch the drama channels about them. That's how I get this information. I don't actually support them. I'm like going through my day watching tea. Like, what do I want to talk about? All of a sudden it's like, Ash Trevino, inmate Hopper, has her children at Bob House. Like, that has got me being like, what? I'm not going to watch Ash Trevino stuff, but I'm going to be like, Ash Trevino reaction. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Because again, I do think we need to talk about stuff. Discourse needs to happen. We can criticize people and be concerning. We don't need to be assholes. Like, there's a difference. But chalking people up to their political beliefs just shows me that you don't have critical thinking and deep thought, and you don't see people outside of their surface. And no disrespect for you. Live a beautiful life. I hope your table is full of food, but babe, you're not at my table. We're not sitting down, and I'm not talking to you about my daily life and my wins and losses, but I see you over there. Wish you peace and well. Like, you meet my always thing is like, you meet your maker, whoever that is. I don't meet your maker. So I will tell things about my stories and my opinions that have changed my life and my thoughts of when I sit down at the end of my life and this contract, what did you do that was good? And what did you do was bad? That's what I think we have at the end of the life. And I want to continue working to have the best fucking report card out there. I mean, like, I was a good person. I fucked up here and I fixed myself. And then I found this and I came up to this trial and I fixed myself. And I wasn't really great here, but I improved that self. And that's what I want to focus on. And one thing I will say is, like, you don't have to be like super Christian or anything like that, but holding yourself to a higher standard, thinking at the end of your life you're going to have to meet God and talk about the good and bad things that you did. Just having that alone in my mind and my forefront makes me lead differently, makes me talk differently. And when Tuesday, when Charlie lost his life and I had to watch that clip, that changed my entire life. And all I keep thinking is, like, not to be like necessarily a servant. I'm still working with those words and all that, but how can I just be a better person when I'm here on earth? And that's what I just hope this experience comes out of. Not more political divide, which I'm sure it'll be there, but I'm asking people on the right to help bridge that and not be the reflection. Don't be the mirror, be the projector. We're the projector, like the mirror. Sorry, don't be the projector, be the mirror. You're just showing them right now. Let's just show them some of this nasty behavior, but do not project it back onto anybody. Left, right, whatever. Don't. Humanity is number one. This wasn't okay. It's hard, dude. Hard. It's so hard.
I'm not gonna lie, like the amount of times I made screaming TikTok and not uploaded it because I knew if I put some dramatic music behind this shit's going viral and this shit is divisive. Like I have had to
get it out. Get it out. I'm a person that's like, I will record it, but I just don't post it because I'm like, okay, I got it out. I'm reflecting. Is this going to do better? No, delete it, but I got it out at least, right? You don't have to post everything. It can stay in the drafts, but you can also record it and not post it. I know, because me and you the same way. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm mad and that came out wrong.
Yeah, that was.
Give me I need to smoke a joint. I haven't smoked a joint yet, so I'm not grateful or compassionate. So
I know.
Let's maybe delete that.
Breath. Like when I made that first video of when I found out he was unalive, but I didn't see the real video. Yet. It was just from really far away. And I was like, don't, because I scrolled one time and seen a leftist laughing at him being shot. And I was like, guys, this is not okay. You guys got to stop laughing at the deaths. That is where people will draw the line, guys. Like
100%.
That's the line that will be drawn in the sand, because we need to have that respect on both sides, that no matter what each side believes in or implements that can be viewed harmful on both sides, you gotta be able to see that no one deserves to die because of that. Like that is like the basic humanity that we need back and apparently we've lost, that when someone is unalive like that, I have never watched a soul leave a person before. I have never watched something that has impacted me. I have watched videos of people, and I try not to, genuinely, like I have avoided even that Irina video and all of these things. That was on my Instagram feed, and I was like searching, and it was half of my screen. So I was reading Danielle Smith's post about him, RIP, and I was like, what? He's dead? And then I like literally, it like floated up, and it was the 4K video of him being shot. And I was like, well, if I would have seen that from the beginning, I would have known that there was no way that he could survive.
He's coming back.
But I was just like, I have never viscerally, like I immediately sobbed. Immediately. Like I couldn't, like the overwhelming fear, because I've gotten death threats. Like I'm not as popular as other people, but even me as this little content creator have gotten death threats for the way what I believe in. And I honestly, like it was like it was like a spiritual experience. Like I have never seen something like so horrific. And maybe it was different because I've watched him, but that impacted me so much. And you know what? It impacted me to think about my decisions, to be a better person. Like, how can I be like Jesus? Like, I've always been one of those Christians, like when I was a hippie leftist, been like, I love Jesus because he's a hippie, because he's a chill, vibing guy. And the older I get, like, I don't know if you are a Christian or anything, but even the older I get, the more I realize, hey, maybe that's what the Bible, like when I gave birth alone, when I gave birth by myself, I realized God does not want me to give birth alone. That's why maybe it's best to not have sex before marriage, or you know what I mean? Like maybe that's why he's telling me, like, he's not slut shaming me. He's not slut shaming me. He's letting me know that the decisions have consequences, and if you
it's gonna be hard.
And it's gonna be hard. And like the older I get, the more that the Bible just shows me the truth. But I've also seen how much people perverted it. Like even the Psalms about the trad wives, like at the end of that, both sides ignore the fact that Jesus is like, and women will have their own business and sew materials and go down to the market and sell it. Why is everyone missing that point?
Because they like to clip the context. They don't. I know. Because then that's the thing. That's where you have to understand where people's bias and their lens and they're coming from, especially on social media when they're trying to sell you something. And sometimes the sell is your fucking emotion because they make, hey, we're Canadian, so we don't get paid as much. But keep in mind that these creators make money off of your views. And the most rage baity things, especially at this time, are also putting money in people's bank. And to me, at the end of life, again, you're going to have to sit down in God and go, hey, I made my money upsetting people on purpose to get them to watch it to make my money. Does that sound like a sin? That sounds like greed to me. So like, I just personally have, like you said, self-reflection in these last little weeks. I'm going to keep talking about Canada. I'm going to be talking about internet stuff. I'm going to have people on my show, but it has made me reevaluate how I'm putting the message out, how I'm saying the words that I'm saying, and how I could go forward. I am not, my family grew up, there was religious. I would say I grew up atheist. I had fallen into spirituality, and then I fell into the fall of the cabal, seeing the Hollywood shit, seeing Satan, and I was like, no, thank you, bye. Ran in the other direction to God. Exactly. Yeah. And then, and now as this comes out, I don't know if I continue, like, and again, this is my journey, so everyone shush. I don't know if I want to associate necessarily with a religion because there's some things I'm working through with that, but I don't see why I can't follow the word of God and all of his lessons and still emulate him without following a certain religion. Because like, to me, it's just like, well, how do you then choose between Judaism or, you know, Catholicism or Christianity? Like, which one, when they all have different words of God, which one is the right one? Or can I just like have my relationship with him first and then learn the rest? You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like every religion is just like an interpretation of that. Exactly. Yeah. And like, it's great that people do, but I sit there and I pray. And when I pray, I lie in bed in the morning with my cats before I grab my phone, I like, or my man, and I just like either hold on to him or that. And I just like, am super thankful about the moment. And that, you know, like praying and all that looks different to everybody. You don't have to be in this cookie cutter box, but my hope is just that people look for a higher power to, again, be reporting on your life at the end of the day, and were you the best person that you can be? And I think we can all start there, and Charlie will have now inspired that. No extremism, no forcing people to believe what you believe in. Just talk about what you believe in, stand 10 toes down, be open to discourse and listen to other people, and also to say, I respectfully agree to disagree, and God bless. And that's the end. And that's where I hope that we can go. And I know me and you are going to continue on that path of self-reflection and making sure the seeds that we're planting don't have poison in them, that they're really given with pure intent of unity and connection. And I just thank you so much, because you're definitely more out there on TikTok. I am definitely more over here in this world. So continue doing that, because like I said, people do need to see other people's truth experience. And when people are regurgitating to you, babe, it's just because you're holding a mirror up and they don't want to self-reflect. So they're going to try and force you to self-reflect so that you change to fit their narrative, versus you just continually standing in what feels good to you. So please keep doing that. But where can we find you, though? We didn't say that yet. So where can we find you on everywhere?
I'm on YouTube at the Freedom Pines. And honestly, you can look up the Freedom Pines on TikTok and you'll find me. But my handle is the 5 Pines on TikTok, because they stole my TikTok from me. So yeah.
I hate online stuff sometimes.
I'm also the 5 Pines on Instagram too, if you want to follow me on there, because I don't post political stuff, but like you could get a taste of what I was posting before.
Yes. Well, and then you post your life there too. Yeah. I know. I feel that. I was like, it's just nice to see another part of people that are creating, right? Like I seen this thing the other day from like a marketing manager, and it says that like you treat LinkedIn like your job, right? They're very professional, no beers, 0 beer on LinkedIn. And then Facebook, then you can have 1 beer, right? Like that's for like your close friends, family, but you just have 1 beer. And then Instagram's 2 beers. So, you know, you can get a little bit more. Here's my life. Here's my opinion. TikTok, nonstop beer, open tap, drunk. So it's like, you know, you're going to get a different version on me depending on what platform you're going to come to. Like people on the podcast probably have, if they just started following me, have no idea how political I am on YouTube. And then people on Instagram, they don't really know as much, but on TikTok, now I'm like, this is me in my life. And, you know, so I've changed depending on platforms, but just keep being you. Thank you so much for this talk today. This is so amazing. I feel like we both probably needed it. We both probably needed it right now.
Just didn't even like focus on it as something in particular, but just kind of debriefed what just happened, and our like snowball effect into why we believe where we are, why we are where we are. And maybe next time we'll focus in on things, because I definitely have a lot to say. I'll tell you that. But
oh my
yeah,
gosh,
I feel
yes.
like it's exactly what we needed right now, and maybe what other people will need as well, because it's a time of self-reflection, and it's a time of self-awareness and self-accountability. Yes. Yeah. And think to yourself, like, why do I think this thing, and go from there. And that's always important, you know.
Yeah. But and also reaching out to the other side when you have a opposing opinion, take it to the DMs respectfully. Hey, can we work this out together? You know, I think that is such a cool way, instead of fighting in the comment sections, maybe taking it outside so other people's echo chambers aren't attacking. Be like, hey, are you cool if we discuss this privately? Because I really want to work through this. I want to know more, but I want to do so respectfully with you, and not everybody from your page or your echo chamber clouding either yourself or myself. And I think if we could also, again, lead by Charlie, by reaching out to the other side respectfully and having beautiful conversations, that's where we go from here, guys. We go self-reflect. We go pause before we react to people online, to things online. We disconnect for a little bit, do the things that you love, create more than you consume right now. I think that's really important. And find what your values are. And if you feel lost and don't understand why so many are affected, it's probably because you don't have as strong values or convictions as those that did. One thing I found really beautiful that someone said, why is this affecting us? Because he was a brother of Christ, and we're all children of Christ. That's why it's hurting us. And I think if you understand that, you understand that. If you don't, it's a really beautiful time to start figuring out what that means. Because I think when you believe in God and you believe that we're all of the children of Christ, then it hurts, and you don't want to put harm even if there is disagreement. So this is amazing, Jamie. Thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. Thank you for coming back, guys. Make sure.
Thank you
yes,
for
of course.
Changing it. Thank you for changing it. And by the way, it was on fire for like a couple of days.
Okay, so good thing we rescheduled.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, but then like you said, this happened this week, and I think it was a perfect way for us to circle our whole entire point in our political lives and where we need to go now. So by no means am I happy that happened, but it shows that there was purpose to pushing it outside of the safety of your husband and all of that. But it's just, I think it helped me solidify my thoughts and how we both want to go forward. And I think this is a timestamp for me and you as creators, as you trying to be a YouTuber over here, as a podcaster and Canadian, to be like, y'all, we follow in the footsteps of America, but we cannot do with that with fear, and we need to course correct immediately. And where everybody else needs to course correct, if everybody self-reflects, we're going to get a lot further. So thank you so much, Jamie. And guys, don't forget to follow her on YouTube, TikTok. I promise you will not be disappointed. She's amazing at providing content, unlike myself. But thank you guys so much for listening. And until the next time, guys, bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I truly appreciate the support. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, please follow the Be Real Babe podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Rumble. You can also find me at the Be Real Babe podcast on TikTok and Instagram. Until next time, guys. Bye!